Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase. Yes, it does come with a fun Picatinny rail adapter, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15 like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more, or click the URL in the video description below. Lastly, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now going over to the business part podcast, you have the legendary Dodge CEO Tim Kuniskis is back. Can he bring back the V8? Now, before we dive into the article, I want to give a little background on the brilliance of the former Dodge CEO and having such a passion for making the pinnacle of automobiles and using it as a mechanism to sell the whole portfolio. Now, this is an interview from a couple years back, and he says, quote, or the interview is about Dodge CEO on what the Hellcat did for the company, which the Hellcat, it was a marvel engineering. I mean, the final send-off of the Challenger was 0 to 60 in 1.66 seconds with a beautiful V8 engine with more horsepower than people can possibly count. Well, at least people in the United States public sector school system. Granted, the bar's pretty low. Now, this is a quick summary from Tim.
What did the Hellcat do for you?
Oh, the Hellcat was...
It got a lot of headlines when it came out for good reason.
Yeah, the Hellcat, the funny thing is, if you think about the cars, when we end this era, we will have sold, call it 3 million muscle cars. By the time we stop producing that car that we know today in Brampton, we will have sold 3 million muscle cars and 1 billion horsepower. And so
1 billion horsepower, what a measurement.
and so everybody looks at that and says, wow, 3 million muscle cars, it's amazing, blah, blah, blah. Hellcat. And I said, well, hang on. Out of the 3 million, 80,000 of them were Hellcats. And the reason for that is, I mean, it's a tiny percentage, really, if you think about it. Mm-hmm. The reason for that is our whole sales strategy is not, the traditional sales strategy was good, better, best. I'm going to tell you the price point of the entry-level car, but you're not going to want the black bumper, so you're going to step up to the next car and yada, yada, yada. We do the exact opposite. We sell from the top down. All we ever talk about is red eyes and demons and Hellcats and all this stuff. And we want you to get excited about that and then buy through the lineup. So Hellcat was critical for us because it helped us sell from the top down. It helped us leapfrog where everyone else was in the competition. Because you think about it, before we had Hellcat, we had the 6.1 SRT, 425 horsepower when we launched that car, and we were actually underpowered to the competition and bigger and less brake than the competition. So we weren't really super competitive right out of the box. And so Hellcat helped us leapfrog into that space.
They have one of the biggest portfolios in terms of, the biggest Hellcat, that started around, what was it? The top trim was like $130,000, and then the bottom Challenger is like maybe $32,000. Like, that's how diverse the portfolio was for that one car. Like, so many different trim levels, so many different engine options, and it got people excited about the brand. I mean, I really think it's the same business justification for having like a Halo car to a certain extent. Great for marketing. It really gets people excited about the brand and shows what your engineers can really do when price is not the biggest factor, when they really do everything they want and dream to. And it really just shows off the capabilities from an engineering and as well as a manufacturing perspective. So I've always been a really big fan of Halo cars. Now, the article comes to us thanks to MotorTrend.com. They say, quote, "Can Ram's returning CEO bring back the HEMI?" They say, quote, Tim on Ram launches on whether he wants to be the selected CEO. And spoiler, he says, no. He's not into politics. He doesn't think he has a skill set for, being the CEO of the whole portfolio. Again, Stellantis has 17 brands in his portfolio, about 3 of them selling anything good, with most of them being mediocre. And you do have to admire Jeep. People still buy Jeeps, despite them being as reliable as, I'm trying to think of anything, as like a Ford product. Like, not very reliable, but people keep buying it for some odd reason. That's just how powerful the cult of personality is for that brand. But nevertheless, getting back to the actual Dodge brand, he was best known for bringing back the Hellcat, bringing the best that they could to the market, and they sold those things like they were no tomorrow. You can't throw a brick out of a window without hitting some type of Challenger or a Charger. Like, they sold them like they're going out of style. It's one of the best things in the whole Stellantis portfolio. And then Carlos, the previous CEO, finally stepped down. They thought, oh yeah, let's go all EV, and we're going to give everything a straight 6 twin turbo. So we're going to kill the HEMI, kill the V8, even for the truck, for the 1500 Ram. That's now a straight 6, you know, I think they call it the Hurricane engine. Yeah, it's a straight 6 with twin turbo, which is good for a BMW. Great platform. They perfected that over decades of engineering. But for a truck, most truck guys, they don't want that. Even if it's technically better on paper, then you have a smaller engine working harder on average. People argue that's not as reliable long term. And a lot of people are wondering, can Tim come back? Can he save the V8? Can he save Stellantis? Or can he save Ram? Now, diving into the article, they say that, quote, when petrolhead Tim returned to Stellantis and his old role as Ram brand CEO, having retired in previous June, the most asked question was whether he would bring back the HEMI V8, which, again, is a whole brand identity for Dodge. There was a competitive advantage back in the day. There's actually hemispherical heads, but I partially digress. And they wanted to know if he could bring back the HEMI V8 that was dropped from the 2025 Ram 1500, which, yeah, again, the Chevy 1500 and the Ford 1500, both of those still come with a V8 because they know they respect the customers. Now, the storied engine was dropped in favor of the Hurricane family, which partially for just cost, because then pretty much every vehicle in the Stellantis portfolio has that straight 6. So again, save a lot of money, just use the same engine and bolt on different shocks and body panels. Now, they say the storied engine was dropped in favor of the Hurricane, and the efficient, that's what guys care about. Oh yeah, this engine's more efficient. Right. What about more reliable? That'd be kind of nice. Or, yeah, they say that the twin turbocharged inline 6 is part of the refresh of the 5th generation light duty full-size truck. They note that the answer is not as simple and won't be answered until the botched launch of a new 2025 Ram 1500 is fixed, and Tim can get some real-world data on sales of the inline 6 and whether the loss of HEMI is to blame, which, yeah. They say personally the man associated with muscle cars like the Dodge Demon loves the HEMI, he tells Motor Trend in an interview, but as a prudent executive, he says he knows he has to be realistic. He says, quote, if I'm honest and objective and not being myself, if I look at the T6 versus the HEMI, the T6, aka the Hurricane Inline 6, is a great engine, a far superior engine to the HEMI. The one place it falls short is sound. To make a humongous bet on investing to restore HEMI based on sound, he would need some compelling data to show the market that they actually want it. So again, if you want to send a clear message to Stellantis that they should make V8s, tell all your friends, no one buy a 1500 truck from Ram right now. Because again, right now it's just coming with the straight 6. Take that money, buy a Chevy or buy a Ford. You might not get very far in the Ford, but nevertheless, it will run some of the time. And they say, quote, the executive does not have the data yet because the updated Ram 2025 Ram 1500 launch has been a mess. The full range of the full-size light-duty truck was supposed to launch in June 2024, which is when he left. He says, quote, we should have had a full range of the truck out volume last summer. Here you see one of the Rams over there. Ironically, there's a commercial for Rivian. Kind of funny. Scrolling down here. There you see the Ram going off-road there. They say that the Ram 1500 is still a mess. That is still not happening. The truck is not yet in production at the Sterling Heights assembly plant. The trucks rolling off the line don't have all the tech that they should. We don't even have all the trim lines out that we should have, Tim says. He also elaborates, saying, quote, we still have less than 2 weeks supply of RHOs, less than 1 week supply of tungstens. We're struggling with all different trims. The result is the light-duty truck sales are down 30%. Geez, Stellantis. Yeah, no wonder Carlos stepped down. Again, they said you're going to fire him in a year, but he stepped down earlier. Yeah, this company's a mess. And geez, he's 30%. When he gets more trucks to market, Kuniskis said he will better be able to gauge whether the loss of the HEMI is an issue. Until that is fixed, I don't know. If sales are still down 20% after the launch is fixed, then he could have a clearer picture and the impact of losing the HEMI. Which, again, send him a clear message. No one buy a Ram 1500 right now. Not only because interest rates are at 7+% for these vehicles these days, but also if you want the HEMI to come back, this needs to happen. Because again, the only way I think they can realistically make it happen, they need to be able to show on data. Well, just don't buy any Stellantis vehicles. I mean, your pocketbook will like you because reliability, anything is more reliable. But again, the reason they're going with a straight 6, partially government cracking down on emissions. Hopefully, Trump is going to fix that shortly. But it's also because economies of scale. Just save a lot of money if you have one engine and put it in everything. Now, I know, maybe it's just a pie in the sky dream, but how nice would it be to have the default engine at Stellantis to become yet again a good old V8 Hemi? Cram that into every sedan. You got the the Chrysler 300 with the V8 crammed in there. That used to be a hilarious little thing out there you see every once in a while. Now they say, quote, does the industry want V8s anymore? But he does not think that is what the data will show. He admires Ford, which has done an excellent job marketing the EcoBoost 3.5-liter V6 it fits in his F-150s, while continuing to offer the 5-liter V8s. So Ford at least gives you the choice. Even with the choice, the take rate for the V8 is only 25%, he says. He looks at the growth of the Toyota truck sales, which also ditched the V8 in the last generation. Not a great thing to compare to, considering, Toyota accidentally allowed machining debris to fall into the V6 that was being assembled, and they had to recall all their V6 engines, which is not good for Toyota trucks who were already under scrutiny for dropping the V8 years ago. Now, they say the industry has a V8 take rate of about 30%, largely because GM is heavily reliant on the 5-liter and the 6.2-liter V8. Tim says, personally, I would love to have a Hemi, but does the marketplace want it? I don't know yet because I haven't fully launched this truck. If I fully launch this truck, I still have a gap, which I will be scrambling to bring back the Hemi maybe if I can convince everyone that is still going to be okay with our compliance team. Ugh. The other unknown is the changes to emissions regulations under the new Trump administration. Yep. And again, it's a twofold attack on freedom, aka the V8. Not only do you have emissions standards where you have a fleet average, you can't have too many bad things come out of the tailpipe, unless you're China or India manufacturing stuff. But you also have the EPA, you have to have a fuel economy average. So you have to have an average mile per gallon of your fleet. That's why these companies are pumping out EVs. It's not only because there's customer demand, there is some, but it's also because of heavy government intervention. So it's one of those instances where, regulation is kneecapping the auto industry left and right. They don't make vehicles for us, they make them for the government, or rather to the government's compliance and standards, which is disgusting and disappointing. So we'll see if Ram is able to bring it back. Again, I'm pretty confident that Trump's going to rail back a lot of these regulations that are kneecapping, especially the traditional big three automobile companies, aka Ford, Chrysler, well, now Stellantis, as well as General Motors. And again, Tim's got the pet. He has a great track record. I hope they bring back, actual muscle cars, put a Hemi into the Charger so it's not a straight 6 or an EV. That I think would be great. But let me know, do you think it's just nostalgia? Do you think the overwhelming consumers, if they had the option, would, pick to have a Hemi, 1500 with a V8? Or would they stick with the turbocharged straight 6? Let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.